That night, the air in our home, once filled with laughter and shared dreams, became thick with unspoken truths. Every lie my husband Kian had ever told me was about to unravel. It all started with a simple text message on his phone, a message not meant for my eyes. It read, "Can't wait for tonight." Simple words, yet they held the power to shatter my world. I wasn't the kind of wife who snooped, but something in my gut, a cold, hard knot of dread, told me this was different. I confronted him, my voice trembling but firm. "Tian, who was that?" He laughed it off, that easy, charming laugh that had once made my heart flutter. "Just a colleague, Aurora. We're working on a big project." He spun a tale of late-night meetings and tight deadlines, his eyes avoiding mine. It was a story I wanted to believe, a story I had believed many times before. The late nights, the sudden business trips, the scent of a perfume that wasn't mine clinging faintly to his collar. Each time he had an explanation, a plausible alibi that soothed my fears, but left a lingering residue of doubt. But tonight the doubt was a roaring fire. I remembered a receipt I'd found in his pocket weeks ago, from a fancy restaurant I'd never been to. He'd claimed it was a client dinner. I remembered the time he'd missed our anniversary dinner for an emergency at work, only for his boss to later mention how quiet the office had been that night. Each lie was a single thread, and now I was ready to pull them all. I decided to follow him. I told him I was going to my sister's for the night, a lie of my own, and watched as he got ready, whistling a tune, completely oblivious. My heart pounded against my ribs as I tailed his car through the city streets. He wasn't heading towards his office. He was driving to the other side of town, to a neighborhood I didn't recognize. He pulled up to a sleek modern apartment building, one of those new developments with fancy glass balconies. He got out, a bouquet of lily in his hand, my favorite flower, the ones he hadn't bought me in years. He buzzed the intercom, and a moment later, the door opened. A woman with long dark hair greeted him with a kiss that was far from professional. My world tilted on its axis. The colleague, the project, it was all a lie. I sat in my car, frozen, the engine off, the silence deafening. I watched them through the large window of her apartment. They laughed, they danced, they embraced. He looked happier than I had seen him in years. The man in that apartment was the Kian I had fallen in love with, the attentive, passionate man who had slowly disappeared from our marriage, replaced by a distant, secretive stranger. Every "I'm busy," every "it's just work," replayed in my mind, each one a fresh stab to the heart. The business trips were romantic getaways. The late nights were secret rendezvous. The expensive gifts I'd found receipts for weren't for me. I couldn't just sit there. I needed him to see me. I needed him to see the devastation he had caused. With a resolve I didn't know I possessed, I got out of the car, walked into the building, and found her apartment number on the directory. My hand was shaking as I knocked on the door. When he opened it, his face drained of all color. The charming smile he'd worn just moments before vanished, replaced by sheer panic. The woman stood behind him, her own smile faltering as she saw the look on his face, then the tears streaming down mine. "Aurora," he stammered, his voice a hoarse whisper. "What are you doing here?" I stepped past him into the apartment, the smell of lily and betrayal filling my lungs. "I believe you have something of mine," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I looked around the apartment, a perfect little love nest built on the foundations of my broken heart. There were pictures of them on the wall, on vacation, at parties, living a whole other life I knew nothing about. It was a complete, parallel existence. He had been living two lives, and I was the unsuspecting fool in one of them. The other woman, her name was Chloe, she looked mortified. "He told me he was divorced," she said, her voice small, another lie. He had constructed a fortress of deceit, not just for me but for her as well. Kian started to spew excuses, a torrent of desperate, nonsensical words. He loved me, he didn't want to lose me, it was a mistake, it meant nothing, but the evidence was all around us. The apartment, the photos, the woman wearing his favorite cologne. Each word he spoke was just another lie layered on top of a mountain of them. I didn't scream, I didn't cry anymore. A strange calm washed over me. The pain was so immense it had become a numbing silence. How long, Kian? I asked. The truth finally came out, piece by painful piece. 2 years. 2 years of my life had been a sham. 2 years of me worrying about him, supporting him, loving him, while he was sharing his life with someone else. All the little inconsistencies, the gut feelings I had ignored, it all clicked into place, forming a horrifyingly clear picture. That night, I walked out of that apartment and out of my marriage. The road ahead was terrifying, but it was a road based on truth, not his fiction. Rebuilding my life from the rubble of his lies was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But with every step I took, I reclaimed a piece of myself that he had tried to erase. I learned that the end of one story, even one built on deceit, can be the beginning of your own true one. And my story was just getting started. Thanks for watching. If you've ever been through something similar, know that you are not alone and you have the strength to start over. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories.